The new Batman series in the works, Batman Caped Crusader. It's probably a lot more important than you realize. I want to take a few minutes to talk about this series' importance and some of the weight that it carries into its creation. This series isn't just going to mean a lot for DC and Batman fans, but children's TV as a whole. What's going on, y'all? It's your boy Eddie Knight. Welcome back to Nerdy Before It Was Cool, where we nerd out about TV and film, especially ones that have to do with comic book characters. So as you may have heard, there is a new Batman Caped Crusader series being in the works. It is another Batman animated series. It's going to be the first Batman animated series in years. The DCAU ended in 2006 with Justice League Unlimited, wrapping up in what, in my opinion, is still to this day the best interconnected superhero universe. Some important things to know about this new Batman Caped Crusader series is this is not a rehash or a retelling of Batman the Animated Series. Everything has been redesigned and retextured. You can look at this as something that was sort of inspired by Batman the Animated Series but has nothing to do with it. Let's get into why this is so important. I don't want to be the guy who says back in my day and talks about all the cartoons and things of his time that were good, but back in the day, children's TV was just different. With animated shows like The Gargoyles, the HBO Spawn series, He-Man, and then the rest of the entire DCAU content like Batman Beyond. Even when you get into the early 2000s with things like Avatar: The Last Airbender and The Spectacular Spider-Man. Although all of those shows were made for kids, they weren't made with kid boxing gloves on. They didn't coddle the audience by straying away from more adult-themed content. So most importantly, none other than Bruce Timm, who was the producer and one of the big brains behind Batman the Animated Series, is back as an executive producer of this series, and I couldn't be more happy about that. Also, there's J.J. Abrams and also Matt Reeves, who is directing the new Batman film coming out this March. Now, although I am excited to hear all of those people are involved in this show, I just hope and I pray that Paul Dini is going to come back to write a few of these episodes. If so, I'm already sold on it, but if that happens, I'm gonna be 1000% all in with this series. As much as I love Batman the Animated Series, one thing that I feel like I missed out on with that show is seeing Batman and Bruce Wayne in his early years. When we get Batman the Animated Series, he has already established himself as Batman. He already has all of his fancy gear and his tech and the Batmobile and the Batwing and all these fancy gadgets. Batman the Caped Crusader is gonna take place within his first few years of his career as Batman. Very similar to the Long Halloween graphic novel, his suit looks extremely inspired by the early versions of the Batman suit in the comics. Him being a younger Batman is just something I'm so hyped to see, man. There hasn't been many iterations of Batman where we actually see him building. Like, we saw it a little bit in the early movies with Chris Nolan, and we're gonna see a little bit of it here in the new Matt Reeves Batman film, but not to the extent in which we can do it in a TV show. Also, one key difference in this is there isn't gonna be a larger world just yet. There's no Robin, there's no Superman, no Justice League, none of that. This is just Batman in his purest form in his earliest years, figuring himself out. And I couldn't be more excited about that. Bruce Timm says
that it's more Batman the Animated Series than Batman the Animated Series.
Sure, those could just be buzzwords to try to get people hyped about this, but I am excited about that because Batman the Animated Series being on Fox Kids did give it some provisions. The content was adult themed a lot of the time, but just watching interviews from the writers over the years, you hear them talk about a lot, how a lot of what they really wanted to do in places they really wanted to take it, they couldn't go there because they had to keep the kids' audience in mind. So I'm extremely interested in seeing the mind of Bruce Timm, J.J. Abrams, and Matt Reeves unleashed. It's gonna be insane. Batman the Animated Series was already extremely dark as it is, so I can't imagine some of the places they're gonna take this thing with no restrictions. If done right, what I'm most excited about this is it's gonna give this generation their version of Batman the Animated Series. I love BTAS. It's one of my favorite shows of all time, but it's been 30 years, and in my opinion, nothing has topped it yet. But I'm hoping that when this series comes out, that it'll be the official passing of the hat and passing of the torch to give this newer generation their version of that, because this type of children's TV is really missing from a lot of the TV shows today. One thing that I'm interested to see is how they're going to adapt his no-kill rule. Is that going to be something that's already set in stone in him as a character, or is it something that he's going to have to develop over the series? Also, I would love to know in the comments who you guys would have voice acting for this newer, younger version of Batman. I love Kevin Conroy, but this is gonna be a younger Batman, and if it wants to set itself apart from BTAS, they're gonna have to go with a new actor. I don't know if you guys have seen the Long Halloween movies. They were some of the best movies, period, of last year, in my opinion. And I thought Jensen Ackles did an amazing job at voicing a younger Bruce Wayne. I would love to hear him reprise his role.
I don't know. Something tells me this is where I need to be tonight.
He's already done it. He has already had time with the character. And I thought the way he handled the duality between Bruce Wayne and Batman was extremely dope. I would love to see Jensen get a little more time with the character of Batman. I just wanted to ramble about this series for a brief moment. I didn't want to hold you guys too long. What do you guys think about this Caped Crusader series? Are you excited for it? Do you not care? Do you think it's going to be dope? What are some of your expectations? Are there any villains you're looking forward to seeing being recreated? Although I am extremely excited about this series, man, it has some very big shoes to fill. But anyways, guys, my name is Eddie, and this is Nerdy Before It Was Cool. Until next time, I'm out.